Good evening from London. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. 2.5 years ago, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex sat down with Oprah Winfrey to air a slew of grievances and claims about the royal family that they had deserted. The most incendiary claim was that members of the royal family had raised, quote, concerns in multiple conversations about what skin colour baby Archie's skin would be.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
There's several conversations.
There's a conversation with you?
With Harry.
About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Ooh. And you're not going to tell me who had the conversation?
I think that would be very damaging to them.
Okay.
Compartmentalized
they were
conversations.
concerned that if he were too brown, that would be a problem. Are you saying that?
I wasn't able to follow up with why, but if that's the assumption you're making, I think that feels like a pretty safe one.
You see, that's just an allegation of racism right there. It's not ambiguous. That is Meghan Markle accusing a member of the royal family of being racist, judging somebody according to the colour of their skin and how brown they are. There's no room for thinking it's anything else. Now, the impact of that claim was extraordinary. The claims were reported breathlessly across the world. Tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions, were left with the unavoidable impression that Britain is a racist country with racists at the heart of our royal family.
But just the fact that there is, according to both of them, this ongoing blatant racism, not only in the UK tabloid press, but in the family.
But for some people in this country, a blanket denial of racism, like the one that we heard from Prince William yesterday, just isn't enough.
Buckingham Palace is racism.
Because among the more shocking revelations was that it's sort of overt racism she faced within the royal family.
But here it is, a couple that's truly in love. And the thing that you want to question is their skin tone.
I hope all those people are having severe second thoughts or buyer's remorse about believing what Meghan Markle and Prince Harry said. I don't need to, because that day I said I didn't believe a word of it. And I had to leave my job because I didn't believe them, even though I think they were lying. Well, for 2.5 years, there's been frenzied speculation about who these supposedly racist royals are. Just about every single member of the royal household has been implicated in the rumours at some point. And that surely isn't fair, is it? Just guilt by collective association? Especially if you believe, as I do, as I've always said, that the claims, in my opinion, are completely and utterly baseless. That speculation reached fever pitch again this week because of this weaselly lickspittle Omid Scobie. He's the client journalist of the Sussexes. He's always the first to publish their Soviet-style official statements and defend their indefensible deeds. He's like that guy, Comical Ali. Do you remember him? Who fronted up for Saddam Hussein in the Iraq War and would literally say, we've got him on the run as the American howitzers were coming over his head. Well, Meghan Markle famously denied briefing Scobie for his last book, Finding Freedom. But then she was forced a few months after it came out to apologise in court and admit that actually she'd briefed one of her aides to go and tell Scobie all the laundry. So when it emerged that the latest book contained new details on those race accusations, well, let's just say I've made my own assumptions about where Scobie could have got that information from, because it wasn't King Charles. So that only leaves the other person on the end of that correspondence. That's Meghan Markle, or maybe Harry, her husband, or maybe one of their mutual friends that Scobie keeps boasting he has. Scobie says he knew the names of the accused royals, but couldn't use them for legal reasons. That's in the English version of his book. Then, as everybody now knows, the names suddenly appeared in a Dutch translation of the book. And by appeared, I mean they were sent to journalists who couldn't believe what they were reading. They went into bookstores where people could buy it. Well, last night I decided this was all ridiculous, and it was time to name the two royals implicated in those racism claims. They are, as I said last night, King Charles, Prince Charles as he was then, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. I did that for several reasons. First, the speculation was once again raging out of control, as it has for 2.5 years. Second, it made no sense that Dutch journalists and Dutch people who bought copies before the publisher withdrew them would know these names, members of our royal family, when the British people were prevented from knowing them. Thirdly, once you know the names, it becomes blindingly obvious to anyone with even half a brain that these allegations are ridiculous. Whatever your view of the monarchy, I don't think any serious person really believes that anything they've seen or heard from King Charles or the Princess of Wales suggests they have even the tiniest racist bone in their bodies, or would judge anybody according to the shade of their skin. And once again, it's worth remembering what Prince Harry eventually said about these accusations when he was promoting his book. And before we play the clip, just to remind you, after launching this racist bombshell 2.5 years ago, it never got mentioned again. Not in the 6-part Netflix series, which mentioned everything else in their lives. Not in the 12-part podcast for Spotify that Meghan Markle did, never mentioned. And it never got mentioned in Harry's over 400-page book. 150,000 words of stuff about his entire life, but not a mention of the supposed racism by members of his own family, which he had launched as a missile against that family on Oprah Winfrey. So this is what he said to Tom Bradby at ITN at the start of this year when promoting the book where he didn't mention it.
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
Well, the British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they're racist?
She said there were troubling comments about...
there was concern about his skin colour.
Right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist?
I wouldn't, not having lived within that family.
God, he's such a dimwit, isn't he? He's just dim as ditch water. He literally thinks we're going to watch the clips back from Oprah and not think that she was saying that the royal family had been racist. How dumb does he think we are? So Harry performs this dramatic U-turn. We never meant to suggest they were racist. It was the terrible British press. They were the ones who said it was racism. We just meant unconscious bias. You know what that's become a euphemism for? We actually haven't got any evidence of someone being racist. We just think it's kind of unconscious, on the sly, right? It's kind of there, but we can't prove it. It's like we think they might be. Yeah, not good enough. Not when it comes to members of the royal family, whose reputations are on a global stage. So why should I stand back and let a proven liar like Omid Scobie, a man who claims in this book as a fact that I have regular phone chats with Queen Camilla? Regular. Do you know how many times I've spoken to Queen Camilla on the phone in my entire 58-year life? 0. Not once. It's not just not regular. It's never happened. We've never had a phone chat. So he's a liar. And he lied again about when apparently I called Meghan Markle Princess Pinocchio on that fateful last day of Good Morning Britain. Apparently Camilla immediately contacted me to thank me on behalf of the firm. No, she didn't. Another lie. Complete lie. So Scobie prepared to lie about me, about these little things, which don't really amount to a row of beans. Why should we believe anything else he has to say? All he's doing is dragging the whole royal family through the mud all over again, reigniting these racism charges because he wants to sell books and make money. Well, Scobie gave another interview this morning, in which he again denied working with Meghan Markle, and he also denied ever using the names in any draft of his book.
I'm as frustrated as everyone else. I make it very clear in this book that I, in every way possible, want to adhere to the laws surrounding this subject. It's why I've been very careful in how it's described in the book, and it's why I've never spoken about it beyond what I've said in the public domain before. The reality is, though, is that this is information that is not privy just to me.
A liar. A barefaced liar. He wants us to believe that he only submitted a draft in the English version, which never mentioned the names, but that somebody in the Netherlands got hold of it and added the names and added entire paragraph in one part of this into the manuscript before it went to the printers. A lethal saboteur. Who would do that? Have you ever met any author in history, because I haven't, who's had that happen to their manuscript? That on the way to the printers in a foreign country like the Netherlands, they got into the manuscript and changed it without the author knowing anything about it? No. It doesn't pass what we call the smell test. Mr. Scobie stinks when it comes to the smell test. Now, he thinks I'm completely wrong to assume an earlier version of his book included the names and was sent for translation, only for his lawyers to take them out of the final edition, which I think is the most likely explanation. It's therefore rather inconvenient for him that the Dutch translator has told reporters tonight that she'd only translated what was written down on the manuscript. She said the names of the royals were there in black and white. I didn't add them. I just did what I was paid to do, and that was translate the book from English into Dutch.
Using Remitly, I sent money